Hello everybody. So I hope I can make this video work. Um, I'm under the influence, let's say, of a bunch of cacao, this cocoa. Um, I've seen this comment on a group, and it mentioned the ceremonial use of cocoa. Now, I don't have special Peruvian cacao made for ceremonial use, but it mentioned that if you take a fairly high dose, it's a blood dilation agent and MAO inhibitor to some extent. So I figured, okay, let's test it. Let's see what's happening. And wow, I did not see this stuff coming. So as you can feel, there's a certain vibe. Like usually I'm more talkative. My verbal centers of my brain are more jittery and hyper. Now that's not the case. So this is an effect that I'm absolutely looking for. And if this is something I can recommend to people, I think this will be a very welcome addition to my repertoire of plants and things that I recommend. And what happened so far is I took it. So basically a cup of a lot of cacao, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 spoons, large spoons, with a little bit of hot water. I also added some ashwagandha and some cinnamon, but that's smaller quantities. The bulk of it was cacao, and I stress that it's not a little cacao in a ton of water. It's a little water in a ton of cacao. What came through from that side, so to speak, so I covered my eyes and I lie down for some sort of meditation and just to let things flow. And what came through really strongly in the visions and the concepts and downloads was that this is a sort of a blood flow specialist. So every plant has its thing, apparently, how it interacts with the human body and the human consciousness. And what the cacao, at least what it did in this case for myself personally, was point out certain things about blood flow. Now this refers to both blood flow in the body from the heart down into the limbs, and the micro flows and the opening and closing inside the brain. Because what's happening is when the verbal centers are active, obviously the blood goes there, the oxygen, for that electricity to fire there, the blood flow must go there. Now a blood flow specialist will tell you things like, hey, a lot of your blood is going to the verbal centers in your head, and therefore you are neglecting your limbs, both in terms of physical blood flow here and neurological blood flow to the areas of the brain that control and mind the limbs. So both limb control, physical movement, and also perception of where your fingers and limbs are. This also included a sort of movement exercise. So I was lying down in meditation with eyes covered, and I started feeling like I have these sort of known issues that I'm working on. My left kidney and I guess adrenal gland above the kidney. There was like a blockage there that I felt in the past couple of days, and also flowing down to my left leg. So it's like the energy in the nadis, the yogic energy channels. So electrical flow there was not optimal compared to the rest of the body, and also blood flow not quite complete, not going, probably lymphatic circulation as well. So to fix this, instinctively I was given these movements to do with the legs, this stomping thing, this, I don't know how to verbalize it. And once I did that, this expanded into another dance kind of thing and breathing exercise. I made 2 videos. I'm going to post those after this one so you can take a look. You have full range of commenting there. If you think it's weird, comment about the weirdness. I don't particularly care one way or the other. Um, Another thing that I would like to mention is it's as follows. Let's say this is these things are, let's say, bits of data in your brain. Maybe fun data, maybe not so much fun. Could be trauma, could be anything. Firefox. Let's say this is a bit of data. Now, for you to integrate that data, this was the metaphor. It's like you have your core energy or blood here, and to be able to fully integrate this, you have to wrap your electric, I don't know how to, like your attention, your electricity, and your blood all the way around it. And if you don't have enough, because you're using it elsewhere in the brain or in the body, then you're going to try and you won't be able to wrap all the way around it, if that makes sense. You won't be able to complete a loop. Now, this happens with many bits of data around the brain where we may not be able to fully integrate them, if that makes sense. So you have past trauma or just regular data around you. It's all data, it's all information. And if it's comfortable to work with, it's easy to integrate. But what if somebody is being a bit of a bitch, a bit of an asshole? Then it's basically, in informational terms, their data, their signals are more difficult to integrate. It takes more blood flow and neurotransmitters and nutrients to integrate their signals or their behavior. So if you have more blood flow, you can make sense of all of this and you can extract that data and process it without it destabilizing your rhythms and your whole flow. If you don't have that, so if the data from outside overwhelms you in a sense, you basically withdraw. Okay, so you can have data inside you, like memories and stuff like that in your brain, and you've withdrawn from them. And this will basically become the shadow or subconscious stuff, that, like the repressed stuff, which is here, but you're not with it. You haven't integrated what happened. To integrate it, you would have to circulate blood flow and things and process it and integrate it and see what it means, see how to avoid it if you don't like it, see how to make it repeat if you do like it, and so on. So what I've noticed from the cacao is that, in a sense, because it's this blood flow specialist and it helps you withdraw blood from things you don't need right now, like for instance the verbal center. If you're alone at home, you don't need to verbalize in your head as much. You may need to process past memories and to integrate what happened in a better, deeper way. So it, let me slow down a bit. It helped me do this, I would say. I'm going to test this some more, see how it works, but I find this a very, very useful effect. So it will help you, like we all have in our brains, our identity, which is basically a certain pattern of blood flow going to the brain into centers and areas that you're used to using a lot. Okay, like if you verbalize a lot on your phone or chatting on Facebook all day, your verbal centers will get really high at the expense of something else. If you do this a lot, this will get like entrained. This will make a pattern. It will erode a path like water in a cliff, in a stone, and then it will, your blood will tend to keep going there. Well, what the cacao and I think also other things like psychedelics do is allow you to reanalyze this and change those flows in real time. Okay, so that you can, at least for a while, oh boy, the Sananga eyes, so that you can, at least for a while, reconfigure your brain and blood flow to the present moment, to be as verbal as you need to be, but no more and no less, to be as movement and breath oriented as you need to be, but no more and no less. Okay. Another expression, another thing that came from this whole meditation thing was something that Walter Russell mentioned, the idea of rhythmic harmonious interchange. No, rhythmic balanced interchange of signals or anything. For instance, it spoke of moving rhythmically together. This can be between people, and it can mean sex, it can mean dance, it can mean playing with a frisbee or ping pong ball or tennis ball or anything like that. It's basically synchronizing, moving rhythmically together. So by doing this, by entraining to others and moving rhythmically with them in pleasant ways, we basically get more amplitude to our own cycles, be this heart, breathing, movement, anything. This is very healthy. And the problem that happens often is when people stop doing this. They stop maintaining this rhythm. Okay, or they get used to a rhythm and one of them changes the rhythm and the other one gets stuck in the old one and sends signals against the new rhythm, because they're not present in the moment and aware to be with this person, to be with them here. They're like stuck in their heads with a rhythm that they figured out and they think is gonna go like that forever. Sort of they extrapolate. It spoke of basically you can do this rhythmic interchange with anything and anybody, any idea, any goal you have, any activity, person, anything. But it said it's important. So it can be things like getting up in the morning, getting to sleep at night, as opposed to flipping it. Just choosing any process in nature, in the grandest scheme of things and in the grandest sense, and doing this with it. And being mindful of this. Who do you synchronize your rhythms with? A drunk, a yogi, a meditator, a shaman, an artist, musician, whatever. Like what is your cycle? If you're synchronized with these 5 or 7 elements, what are they? Are they all useful to you now? Are they still useful, or were they just useful at one time? Okay, this all came up, and this is one thing I like to look for in how plants affect the brain is, am I getting thoughts, insights, and ideas that are more clever or smart or thoughtful than usual? And I'm going to say for this cacao thing, absolutely. Like usually you might have seen in other videos, I might be more worried, I might be more hyper or something. I've had a bunch of weird emotional issues these days, so it has absolutely helped with that. I was really in my head, like to an unhealthy degree, and as soon as I took the cacao, within 10 minutes I was starting to really get out of it and more into the body, more movement, flow, and so on. And pretty soon it told me to go get my Sananga upgrades as well. So I did 4 drops first time, then came and meditated some more. My vowels, man. Sorry. So 4 drops, came and then meditated some more, and then 4 more drops. Not as much sting, so in the eyeballs, I mean. So I'm interpreting this as more balanced energy. I think Sananga and other things like that will sting you more if you're too hyper, too out of it. I think they mix well together, the blood flow specialist and the eyeball vision specialist like Sananga. You got a nice vision of being, in a sense, brown color from the cacao, and then the green eye circuits from the Sananga just growing like this. So that was nice. Maybe I could paint that or make it digital. Okay, that's it. Highly recommended. Try this at home. Don't mix with weird pharma pills like antidepressants. I understand that the cacao has MAO inhibitors in it. So if you take a lot, it's going to interfere with any weird pharma meds that you're taking. It's probably not safe or healthy. But if you're not on any weird meds, just sky's the limit. Cacao has no side effects, no nothing. Just dig in and enjoy. Thank you for watching.